watch it. They watch it later on their own time. So know that that's always an option for you. And I'm going to walk and open and closing my hands while I talk, just getting my body warmed up. But that is always an option so that you can not, feel like you missed class or feel like you're behind. So it's always on my YouTube page. As long as I remember to push record. And that's happened before too, where I was like, oh, I didn't record this class. But there are 2 classes in a day. They are generally about at the same place. So if there's another class, like this is the AM class, that's the PM class, click onto that one and, use it as you need it. And just let me know if there's something that you need or if you need help guiding through the YouTube page. Just to put it back out there, my direct line is 912-292-9052. If you don't have that down, that goes directly to my office. So I'm not.
Did you get my call yesterday?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, a while ago, I looked on my phone and I saw where I had some missed calls because I don't get back till late on Mondays.
Okay.
And I saw where you had called and I was like, well, she'll either be in class or I'll hear this whenever I get done with class.
Okay.
So I did see where you call. I'm not here a lot. So, but I do my best to check and return calls, as soon as I can get back.
I just wanted to be sure I had the right number.
Yes, that is my number, 912-292-9052, and that's the direct line to my office. So you don't have to call the office.
Hello.
Ma'am?
I'm sorry, stop to the dog, sorry.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. You don't have to go through all that rigmarole of asking for me or trying to know what my extension is and all that stuff. So,
Okay.
all right, well, let's get started with our warm-ups. We're getting more and more familiar with those, remembering that we do 2 warm-ups for all of our major joints, starting with our neck. So we get in our stable stance where our feet are shoulder width apart. We have good posture, like a string that pulls up and down, but our shoulders are relaxed. So it's a nice strong stance, but still relaxed as well. And we're breathing. We're reminding ourselves not to hold our breath. It's easy to do whenever we're busy doing something. So check in with yourself just to make sure you're breathing. Let's start with our neck. We bring our hands up, palms down, towards our chin and chest. Turn and push away from our bodies and follow those hands all the way down. Chin to chest. Come back up towards my chin and chest. Turn and push away and follow those hands all the way down. Don't forget to breathe. And I usually remind y'all that when I've caught myself holding my breath. It's easy to do. Now let's do our other neck exercise. Starts out that same way. Drop hand to my hip. Follow this hand as I look towards my shoulder. You'll feel a slight neck stretch. Come back to center. Switch hands. Ooh, that side is really stiff today. Mondays I drive a lot and I usually get stiff from driving. We have to constantly be on guard, don't we, when we're driving? So we get our muscles so stiff. All these stretches help increase our flexibility and mobility of our joints. Hands down to the side and let's roll our shoulders forward first. And then back. Feels like a massage you give yourself. Forward and back. Rolling our shoulders back also helps reset our posture. So remember that our shoulders should be back and down, and that helps create that good posture. And sometimes we get kind of slouched and our shoulders are forward. So rolling those shoulders back help us reset. Let's do some big shoulder circles. We bring our palms up and we turn and push them down in front of us. This is a great one to practice breath as we inhale on up and exhale on down. Do one more. For our spine, let's grab our ball. Let's take the hand that's on top of this ball and push down towards the ground. The other comes up and pushes up towards the ceiling. Stretching that spine. Come back to center and switch. I like to inhale as I come to my ball and exhale as I separate. To me, it just feels like I'm getting a deeper stretch when I exhale through that push. Keeping in mind, we still keep a soft bend in our elbow. We don't lock it out like that. Keep that soft bend. Back to our ball and let's go side to side. The hand that is on top tells us the direction we are turning. Our legs, hips, knees, everything stays forward. It's only our torso that's moving. I'm not moving my head or my neck side or my head side to side to stretch my neck as before. My head is just going along with my body as I turn it side to side. And that's what makes it a spinal warm-up. Back to center. Now for our hips. This is where it gets complicated because we're shifting weight to one leg. Let's shift the weight. Heel forward, hands back. Pause in the middle and toe back, hands forward. Remember, like a kickstand, not straight back. It's back and out. And that helps it be more of a a stable stance, but more of a staggered stance where you here. One more as that leg that's holding your weight starts going, hey, you about done. Let's go to the other leg, shifting the weight, heel forward, hands back, pause in the middle. Oh, I had an unbalanced moment, didn't I? That happens sometimes, even with the strongest muscles, we do lose our balance. No shame in that. We just want to be able to use our muscles to recover and not fall. I think I'm like super speed Tai Chi. Let me slow down. Pause and toe back, hands forward. Back to center. Now let's shift our weight side to side. We stack our hands, take them in the direction of the weight shift, and tap that toe out. Back in, switch, shift, lift and tap, bring it back, switch, shift. There you go. Side to side, staying upright, not leaning into that weight shift. That's a challenge. Back to center. We have our loose fist. Let's go for our knees. We shift the weight, lift, Tap that toe out while we punch opposite hand. Bring it back. Shift weight, lift, tap and punch, bring it back. This is a challenging movement because of the cross lateral movement where I'm moving my right leg in my left hand, and that challenges my brain, which is really good to challenge our brain. You know the saying, use it or lose it. It's real, y'all. It is real. And this is a way that we're being physically fit, but also mentally fit. I mean, Tai Chi's great for that, to offer us so many different benefits. All right, here we go. Now we're going to step out, shift to that front foot and punch, keeping both feet flat on the floor. Remembering our upright posture. And last time. I love this movement because look at all that weight shifting we just did. We did shifting side to side. We did shifting front to back. And even if you never learn our Tai Chi movements, if you just stay within our warm-up stretches using principles, you're going to still get the benefits from Tai Chi. Lastly is our ankles. No hand movement, so I usually put mine here in front of me. I shift my weight to one leg and heel toe. Rocking that foot. Bring it back, shift the weight and heel toe. Shift the weight, now big toe, little toe. So we're rocking side to side on that foot. Shift weight and little toe, big toe. Really feel the stiffness of my ankles today. But this movement right here helps with that mobility of that ankle joint, releasing tension and stiffness whenever we move that. So I'm just giving myself a little shake to say, we are ready to go through our movements. Now we have introduced you to the basic 6 movements of our Tai Chi. Tai Chi is movements done in a certain order. And so first we have learned commencement. We know that's followed by open and close, single whip, open and close, waving hands and clouds, open and close, single whip, waving hands and clouds, and open and close. So that is the basic 6. I know it sounds like a whole lot more than 6. Sometimes I'm like, that math ain't mathing, y'all. But they tell me it's the basic 6, so we're just going to go with it. And so we have learned those things, but we're trying to get better at it and more familiar with it, especially our waving hands and clouds that we've kind of just practiced Tai Chi walking. And I challenged y'all to find time in your week and day to Tai Chi walk. But let's review what we know so far with commencement. Commencement is a step forward. We shift our weight to our right foot, and I'm doing mirror image. I step left, I shift left, and I bring that right foot forward. So footwork-wise, it's a step forward. Hand-wise, my hands start out at my sides. They're going to face each other the whole time. I'm gonna show you from the side. I bring my hands up and I'm out from my body, but I'm not lock joint. I'm not Frankenstein. I'm out, I come down, I pull my hands back towards my hips, come up my body, push out away from me again, and then bring it back. And my hands land with my fingers up. So a little closer up. Remember, I come up, down, towards my hips, up, out, and back in. And that gets me ready for open and close, which looks like open and close. So let's put our hands and feet together for commencement. We bring our hands up, down, shift right, step left, hands come in and up, shift left as those hands go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Remember, in Tai Chi, we do what's called an empty step, where we step or place our foot out there, but don't immediately give it weight. So keeping that in mind as we walk through Tai Chi commencement, we come up, down, shift right. Step left, remember, no weight just yet. Come up, in and up. Now we're ready to give that right foot weight, that left foot weight. As we put those hands out there, bring that right foot forward and then come our hands back. As I bring my hands back, I adjust the weight to now I have weight on both legs. All right, again, commence up, down, shift right, step left, hands come in and up, shift left as they go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Let's do it a couple times without me talking. Just follow me. Commence. And again, commence. How is that?
That's good.
Let me close this.
Not thinking too much.
You're thinking too much? Yeah. I mean, you're just, not you, but I just know what it's like. You're like, good gracious, all this going on at one time. And that it just takes practice to get better at it. And what I think is sometimes good practice is breaking it down in different ways. One is to practice just the footwork, where you shift, step, shift, and follow step. And then to the hands, same thing. Just practice what the hands are doing. And of course, open and close, our second movement. That is a good way to practice, but putting it together is what the challenge is. So breaking that whole movement up is sometimes a good way to practice. So just imagine the first thing that we do, nothing's happening with our feet. We're bringing our hands up and then we're bringing our hands down. Now, when we bring our hands down, that's the moment that we shift the weight to our right foot. So just practice that right there, where you come up, down, shift. Up, down, and shift.
And we're shifting our weight to which foot?
You're shifting it to your right foot. I'm doing mirror image for y'all.
Oh, okay, okay.
Now, if you want me to turn around, I do up, down, shift right. So I'm shifting to this leg.
Okay, okay.
Now, I find it easier to follow if somebody turns their back to me. Do y'all like that better? Or does it matter?
I'm not sure if it matters.
Okay. Well, if y'all decide y'all like it better, I will turn around.
Okay.
I'll do whatever y'all need me to do. If you want me to do both, I can do both. So, but it is the right foot that you're shifting to on that first shift down. So practice in that movement where you come up, shift as your hands come down, and just practice that over and over. I don't know if this is weird to say, but I think of, you know, like this movement right here, it almost looks like you're doing like a magic trick, right? Like your hands are saying like abracadabra or something. And so whenever I think of my hands being magic, my hands coming down, and it's like they're magically pushing that weight into that right foot or right leg. So think about that being like a magical thing. Your hands come up and then down. They push that weight to that right leg. You feel that? The hands coming down and that weight shifting at the same time. It just feels right. But it feels like your hands are making that happen.
So give me the next two steps. Like I like how you just taught that. And
Okay.
part like this, like teaching a set at the time to me.
Okay. So then the next thing we do after we shift the weight is we're going to step this left foot here. And when we step that left foot here, remember we don't give it weight. So we've placed it out there, and it's going to sit there for just a second because we got to do something with our hands. And what do we have to do with our hands? We have to bring them in and up.
So while they're down, we bring them in first and then up.
We bring them in because whenever we started our Tai Chi or our commencement movement, our hands came out. As our hands were out as we came up and down. Now we got to bring them in. So in and then bring them up. That feels like an elevator. In and up. And so you do in and up after you place that left foot out there. So that's not really happening at the same time. When we started, it was we come up, nothing's happening with our feet. We shift right as we come down, and then we step. Now we got to do something with our hands. So it's kind of like tag, you're it. Now tag, you're it. So tag, our foot did its job now, and now it's tagging our hands, and our job is to come in and up. Now we're ready to do two things at one time.
Okay. Let's do those two things together.
Okay, that's what we're going to do. So commencement, we bring our hands up, down, shift right, step left. Now something with our hands, in and up. All right, again, commence, up, down, shift right, step left, hands come in and up. Again, commence, up, down, shift left. Shift right, sorry. Step left, hands come in and up. Now we're ready to do two things together. We shift and weight to that left foot. And at the same time we're shifting that weight, our hands go out. So to me, that's another one of those like magic trick things where when we first started, we brought our hands down and our weight went down to that right leg. Well, now our hands are going to go out or forward, and at the same time, the weight is going to go forward into that left leg. So hands go out and weight goes, or hands go forward, weight goes forward at the same time.
Weight goes forward.
So it's that step left. We did the thing with our hands. Now we're ready to shift left as those hands go out. So we're going forward, hands are going forward. Shift as they go forward. Okay, so shift as they go forward. Now let's put that all together. Starting from the beginning. Commence, hands come up, down, shift right, step left, hands come in and up. Now shift left as those hands go out. From the top, hands up, down, shift right, step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as those hands go out. Again, from the top. Commence, hands come up, down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as those hands go out. Now we got to bring that right foot forward, right? Right foot forward. We don't, anytime we take a step in Tai Chi, we don't immediately give it weight. So even in this instance, we brought that right foot forward. We don't immediately give it weight. When we pull our hands back and our hands land with our fingers pointing up, at the time that we're pulling back, that's when we're giving weight to that right leg. So when we end that movement with our hands facing each other, fingers pointing up, that we have weight on both legs, just like when we started. So again, from the top, commence up, down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as those hands go out. Right foot forward, hands come back. And that's when I adjusted that weight. And that gets me to our next movement of open and close. All right, is it coming together for you?
Yeah, much better.
Good. So that's a different way of practicing. I think it's a better way of practicing because it goes, that's our goal, is to put it all together. So practicing just our feet, practicing just our hands doesn't help us put it together. It just gets our body familiar with the movement, which is a good thing. So that's just different ways to practice, and both are good for different reasons. So let's commence and open and close again. So we come up, down, shift right, step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as they go out, right foot forward, hands come back, adjust that weight, and now open and close. So when we learn this, it's a very chopped up version because that's how we learn. Just like when you learn to read the word dog, you learn what a D sounds like. You learn what an O sounds like. You learn what a G sounds like. And you start sounding it out. D-A-G, dog. You know, until you're just like dog, man. Dog. And that's how we're learning this. We're putting slowly parts, kind of jerky, broke up. That's how we learn. So our goal in using our principles with movement control is slow, smooth, and continuous. Now, smooth and continuous, that doesn't go with choppy, right? That doesn't mean the same thing. So we learn it that way, and we practice and we get better. And then our goal is to do the movement slow, smooth, and continuous. So it's not up, down, shift, step, in, up, shift and out, right foot forward, hands come back, open, close. It's not choppy anymore, and it starts to look like this. Commence. You see how that's exactly what we just learned, but it looked different, didn't it?
It felt different too.
But that's our goal, is slow, smooth, and continuous, but we have to learn it the choppy way first. We can't just learn to do it smoothly. So that's our goal, is slow, smooth, and continuous. So even if yours is still a little bit choppy, let's go through it, and I'll be the example for slow, smooth, and continuous. Here we go.
All right.
And commence.
That he supported Ukraine, gave them money and weapons, but just enough to keep them in the fight and not enough to win it. And then finally in the Middle East, if you look at what's happening.
That last little bit where I put my hands down, that's called close it out. And that just means I'm not going to the next movement. I'm closing it out. I'm being done for now. That's not part of the movement. That's just what you do when you're not continuing on through the series. All right, again, commence.
So when you look.
Remember, it's supposed to feel awkward when you first start. So don't worry if your body's just not totally getting it just yet. Just keep going over it with the goal of being more slow, smooth, and continuous, which slow may not be the issue. Commence.
Let me bring in my family now, because my book was also really notable, I think, about this piece of how he started and ended it, starting with his personal legacy and ending with his decision not to speak at a turn.
And again.
Well, you know that was somebody who has covered President Biden now for more than 16 years. That's exactly what I was seizing on as well. Fascinating that he, from the start, acknowledged and even joked about his age, his time.
You feel it getting more and more smooth with each time you do it?
Outline the ways in which he believes the UN is aligned.
That's what practice does for you. So, you know, you don't have to practice an hour every day, but just give it a thought. Give it a little bit of, you know, try. And the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. So now let's add on to that with our single whip. Now we single whip to the right first, and then we have a waving hands and clouds, and then we single whip to the left. But the first time we single whip, it's to our right. We're coming from open and close because our hands are facing each other.
Right.
We're going to shift to our left leg, and we're going to step out with our right. Now notice when I stepped out, let's see, shift left, step right. Notice that it's not a very big step. And notice that my foot is at an angle. It's not straight forward. It's at an angle. And if I look down, it looks to be about a 45-degree angle. Don't get hung up on the angle, but it's meant to be a staggered stance. And a staggered stance is when your feet are separated, one foot forward, one foot back. Your knees have a slight bend in them, and that is a very stable stance. So it's, our footwork is shift left, step out right. And our hands are like this from open and close. So we haven't done anything new to our hands yet for a single whip. We simply changed our feet from side by side to shift left, step right, and then we adjust our weight. You know, anytime we step, it's an empty step. So we step out empty, then we adjust the weight. So now weight is on both of my feet. So again, nothing's happened with my hands yet. Now something's ready to happen to my hands. So let me move closer. So when I stepped out into an angle, it changed the direction of my body. So I went from facing forward. When I stepped, you see how my body kind of went right with that angle of my foot. So it went from facing forward, shift, and step. You see how my body changed? My body's now in the direction of that foot. So don't fight that when your body naturally turns at the step and angle of that foot. Now we're ready to do something, and that is my hands are facing each other. They're going to push out away from me. Notice soft bend right here. I'm not pushing out. We're never Frankenstein. We never lock our joints, our elbows or our knees. Push it out there. When I get out there, then I turn my hands to where my palms are facing away from me. And now I'm going to separate my hands like so. Separate my hands. You see how I move both of my hands out? Dun, dun, and separate. So from the top, we have our single whip where we shift left, step right, adjust the weight, push, turn, and separate. If you notice, my head followed my left hand. The rule in Tai Chi single whips is whichever foot stepped out. So in this case, it was my right foot. My eyes and head follow the opposite hand.
Oh,
Right
okay.
foot stepped out, eyes followed my left hand. Now I still continued to move both hands, but my eyes followed my left hand. And in a minute, when we do our single whip the other way, when it's shift, sometimes I don't know right and left. Shift right, step left, push, turn, separate. Now my eyes follow my right hand.
So is it always the opposite for the limbs?
For the single whips. So in Tai Chi Part 1, which is what we do, single whip, the single whip we do is we step forward, we step out, push, turn, separate, eyes follow, opposite of the foot that stepped out.
Yes.
The first one we do is shift left, step right, adjust weight, push, turn, separate, eyes follow our left hand. Again, opposite of the foot that stepped out.
Okay.
So that's just a rule. In Part 2 Tai Chi, if you ever have the pleasure to do that one, there's a step back single whip. And so that looks like this: step back, push, turn, separate. And the rule still applies. That's the foot that stepped, even though this time it stepped back and my eyes followed the opposite hand. So that's a rule in Tai Chi for single whips. That is a cross lateral movement. And that's one of those brain challengers whenever we do cross lateral. And that's what that is, cross lateral. That's a brain challenge, but also it's balanced whenever we look here. If I were to look here with my step, then it would throw my energy towards that side because my foot's out and my head is going in that direction. My energy is pushed to my right, but we want it to be centered to where we're balanced with that cross lateral. opposite hand. So our first single whip is to the right. That's the right. From the back, this is what our first single whip looks like. We shift right, we step left, adjust weight. We push, turn, and separate. Eyes follow our right hand. So coming from open and close where our hands are facing each other, our first single whip is shift right, step left, adjust weight, push, turn, and separate. Eyes follow right hand. One more time. Shift right, step left, adjust weight, push, turn, and separate. Eyes follow the right hand. Let's add it to the top. I'm going to stay turned around.
Okay.
And then I'll turn back. So from the top, commence, up, down, shift right, step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as they go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. I think I just told y'all wrong. Follow me on this. Shift left, step right, adjust weight, push, turn, separate, eyes follow that left hand. So when I just turned around, I did it.
Thank you. I thought that. I was gonna ask you that.
And I would lie and say I was just testing y'all to see if y'all are paying attention, but that's not true.
It take much to get me confused.
I get so like mind twisted
Mhm.
telling y'all a mirror image that I get myself confused, and I try my best not to do it, but I did it. So I've told y'all the first one we go to the right, you know, and so the first one we go to the right, and that is to shift left, step right, push, turn, separate, eyes follow the left hand. So that is that single whip. I apologize. Good gracious. Mirror image. It has been my enemy for a while. But from the top, mirror image facing you, commence up, down, step, shifting out, right foot forward, hands come back, open, close. Single whip, shift right, shift left. It's about time to cool down. Push. Oh, good gracious. All right, so from the top, let me see if I can do this right. I'm going this way for my single whip. From the top, commence up, down, shift right, step, shift and out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Shift left, step right, adjust, push, turn, separate, eyes follow your left hand. This time with no talking, just follow. Commence. How was that?
That was better.
Good.
It's better.
One more time. Commence.
Critical care and focus on the Supreme Court's controversial ruling of President Trump's broad immunity from prosecution. The ruling from the highest court was a major setback for such a country.
All right. Let me get another poster.
This week, to try to get that case moving forward, doing that now, the one hearing happening right now.
I purposely didn't put this poster up here when we first started because we weren't there yet. But this right here is waving hands in clouds. If you can't see that, here's an upper close version, and that says
Okay.
step, switch, turn, shift. If you see a small word out to the side, it says step empty, because remember when we put a foot out there, we don't immediately give it weight. That's what an empty step means. You see switch and it says change hands, and then turn and the little word says wave, and then shift and the little word says wait. You'll also see these brackets that have step and switch together and turn and shift together. And these brackets are about potentially combining movements together to help it be more slow, smooth, and continuous. This right here is something that has been in front of me for 12 years. Maybe not this exact sheet. I won't tell that story, but I have it, the big one, and that will stay there. I have the small one, it stays in front of me. If you think that would be helpful for you, make you a little paper on the wall. And this is our instruction for waving hands in clouds. It's a step, it's a switch, it's a turn, it's a weight shift. And we do 6 steps. And so the first one that we do is to the left. You know, last week we talked more about Tai Chi walking, where when we step, it's empty, then we shift, then we follow step. And I wanted y'all to get familiar with spacing of your feet and what works best for you, because of all of our legs are different. We have longer legs and shorter legs. We want you to be stable as you step to the side. And so the spacing that makes you feel most stable. I know your feet touching each other doesn't feel stable. And I know putting your foot way out here doesn't feel stable because it's hard to recover from. So continue to practice walking sideways so you start getting that natural gait of spacing of your steps, because that will be important as we start learning and practicing waving hands in clouds. So I'm going to show you the waving hands in clouds to the right, and then we'll continue this next week building on our basic 6 movements. But here's the single whip, shift, step, adjust, push, turn, and separate. So now we're ready for waving hands in clouds. Starting with step, switch, turn, shift, 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 step, switch, turn, and then we'll come back to the middle for open and close. So it's 6 steps going towards the right. That's waving hands in clouds. So there's the step, which is what we talked about, Tai Chi walking. Shift, step, shift, step, shift, step, shift, step. That's the walking. when we did our warm up of our spine and we had our ball and we went side to side, that got us ready for waving hands and clouds. And so that movement is here. Our hands are just a little bit different. Our body goes side to side, but our hands are just a little bit different. Just like in the warm up, the hand on top of the ball was the direction we went. In this movement, the hand on top is the direction we go. Then we switch and go the other direction. So we'll continue to learn it, but step, switch, turn, shift. That's what we're doing for waving hands and clouds. All right, any questions? All right. Just follow me and we will learn it together, but let's cool down by giving ourselves a soft fist massage. Take some deep breaths. You may have held your breath as we learned so many new things and got familiar with things that we kind of had learned. Now let's create tension and then let it go. Gather all that tension and then let it go. It feels so much better to live without tension. Gather, release. Gather, release. Big shoulder circle, hands up, and push down. Up, down. One more. And to end class, we take our right fist, and that represents our strength. Our left fingers together representing our friendship. Our thumb in is our humility. And we put those together, and in mutual respect, we say, Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming and helping me get back in our routine of our class. And we're just really going to keep building towards it. Okay, y'all? Y'all spread the word to everybody who, or if you talk to anybody that's not here, tell them to come back, that we're doing things.
Thanks.
So
All right.
this afternoon because that's why I came this morning. I have
All
an
right.
Okay.
That's fine. I appreciate you coming. I'll talk to y'all next week, but let me know if you need anything in the meantime, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Love y'all.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.